Engineer Michael Ilbert has earned multiple Grammy nominations for his mix work with producer Max Martin on albums by Taylor Swift and Katy Perry. However, he cut his teeth working with punk and rock bands in his native Sweden. We caught up with him in his mix room in the legendary Hansa Studios in Berlin.
This is the original mix room of Hansa, and as far as I know it was built late 70s, 79 or something. And I took it over from 2007. And then, I came here and set up my room finally, and finally I could get all my gear into one place and do what I had envisioned and get the sounds that I was hoping for with the equipment and so on. Yeah, you have an 8028 Neve from 1971. It was originally ordered in a studio in London called Audio International recording. I have the paper still, so 71. So this is actually a Robert Neve design. Robert Neve has put his hands in this one. This is the very, very classic, everyone knows the Sound City console. This is that's actually 72, I believe. So it's exactly the same era. So I have that behind me, some very nice, I have the Fairchild. I don't know if you see them, some Gates, Federal, some more Neve compressors, odd bits, and yeah, there's a lot. But was before all the plug-in era came about, and basically more or less everything you see is there of a purpose. It was always, when I was trying to save up money to get that equipment, was because it would give me a sound or a function. But Neve was actually the first console I learned on. There was one in Gothenburg, a small one. It was a broadcast, but it had still the same. It had a 1066 instead of 1073. So I kind of got accustomed to that sound, and I always say working on an old Neve is like cheating. So it's integral because it's like it helps me to become a better mixer.
Mixing isn't all about gear and technique, though. When starting a new mix project, communication and interpretation of a rough mix can be just as important.
First, I talk to the client and go through things, and this, hopefully they have sent me a rough mix. But basically, rough mix and talking to the client comes together. You raise the questions, how far could they take it? What do they like? What do they miss? What should I maybe aim for harder to work on? But we know these days also that rough mixes is, the people spend a bit time and understand, they are very, very good. So you start there, and then I have an assistant working now. Before I didn't. She preps it for me the way I want it, and then when I listen to the rough mix, I don't listen, then I turn it off. I don't need, because it's, for me, if I listen too much to it, I remember, it's like almost like a photo. I remember it, and I would then immediately go like, no, and aim too much for it, where I don't need to. So, but then from that point, I think I start checking quickly the sounds, if there's any problems, and then build the rhythm up if there's a rhythm. And I guess like anyone else, you move around, and so. But I never got to learn what some of the old school people, they can do it without soloing stuff. I find that very hard. I'm a bit like, I got to solo stuff sometimes. But I understand why some can work sounds, because everything has to work together.
Michael now works primarily out of the former mix room of Hansa Studios. We ask what drew him to Hansa and how it affects his work.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's like, for me, being in Hansa wasn't first the thing with which you maybe think, because Hansa has a great history of fantastic records and reputation. So, but I was searching, and of course, when you see this room, it totally fits with the gear I have, the size, everything, and being part of a historic building, So, yes, I think it affects me but it only affects me in a good way. When I sit here, I can see the day pass by, and if you need inspirations, you just touch a wall or listen to the wall, and they will tell you a story or something. So I think it's a beautiful place, very unique. I'm very happy that it's still, the owners never sold the building and made condos or whatever, which happens these days because it would be worth much more.
Although most of his work is now mixing, Michael has also recorded many bands over his career. We ask him how he approaches recording guitars.
Yeah, so for recording guitars, one example is I did an album with the Hives. Andrew Sheps mixed it, but I recorded most of it. And there, for example, they're very loud, very specific sounds always, which I love with that band. It's, they sound like nothing else. But they always search, they're quite particular because they always search for the extreme. It's not like we have a Marshall or we have a Vox and we put up a 57 or something else and we know it works. They look for the extreme and so in their setup, we were here, did the first session, and then I didn't record it in Studio 1, but I had 1081s with me. I had Helios, and I think for them, when we were here, I recorded most of the guitars with the Helios as a mic pre, and if I need EQ, and then on miking. I either go for dynamics, so the regular Suspect 57 421, but I also like this mic from Josephson, this Albini mic he did with them E22, which I'm a big fan of, and I like that together with a ribbon. So if you have something very loud, those could be my options. If there's a little bit quiet combo, I would always have a 67. And then a little bit further away, because it just captures the whole loudness and size. But I would say the Helios or an Neve would be the signal chain. More or less no compression. For highs, we would also have mics, and then we would take a DI and process that with some extreme, maybe mic pre distortion, or in the past we also used some old DBX compressors that gives you really snap, and then there's a peak limiter in it, the 165 I think, so you can also get a bit very distorted. So you could basically have your ab signals, and then this fader would kind of give you more closeness because it's a DI, so you could really get the guitar to speak or position it or things. So they're a bit orthodox or different than the normal way. They always have very weird old amps that I never seen sometimes, and guitars coming, but they sound great.
Michael also has a long-standing relationship with pop producers Max Martin and Shellback. We find out more about his work on these projects and how the process has changed over the years.
Most of the time these days, because Max lives in LA, he does most of the recordings. Basically, the way I know it is when I started to work with him, we record more organic stuff. There was live drums combined and even electric guitars and things. And now it's mostly programmed. They make up their own sounds and beats. There's very little real instruments. But what happens is that they never record more. They never make a demo. Basically, whatever they do, that's the beginning of the song, and that stays. So when he's working in LA, he's making the song. When he's there, he cuts the vocal. I didn't record her vocals. I did the last Katy Perry album. I recorded 9 songs of her vocals because she came to Sweden. But what happens is then he takes the songs, and then I join him, and we listen to each song, and basically go through the signals, the sounds, and finalize, can we improve something, reamp things, send out to he likes a lot to that I can bring in odd effects or echoes and bring reverbs and that normally now it's common because you have heard his songs, so they are, has that side as well. But before that, I think that pop music didn't have those odd. It would basically be all in the box, plug-in effects. But he likes to and he comes from the analog side, so he knows the value and he likes to mix things up. So what I do with him is basically we listen to things and then say, look, can we do this track better? Can we do this? If there's a lot of acoustic guitars, we recut because they're very quickly demoed. Sometimes we take their vocal recording, I sit with it and reprocess it, and just take those bits. Sometimes it's more like the Katy Perry album. She came over to Sweden and cut almost every song there vocally. Then there was a lot of focus just he's producing her, working with her. Schellberg wasn't there. And I'm then just focusing on when she comes into the studio. I mean, I think when you have an artist coming in to do a performance, the engineer's job is to prepare everything. So I have a plan, I have a mic, I have a signal path, everything's set up. Basically, she can go up to the mic and we can hit record. And then I'm doing it old school. I can sit next to him while he's running Pro Tools and working with her. I write a fader, I do the dynamics, and when she always that the singer keeps confident and feel that it's not like one setting, one slammed plug-in compressor or anything, and they breathe and it's too loud or too quiet here, so I make sure that the recording is healthy. So it's quite fun.
If you like this video, why not subscribe to the Sound on Sound YouTube channel for all our latest video content. Also, if you want to read the magazine, you can pick up a copy in your local newsagent. Download the tablet edition or find us online at soundonsound.com. Thanks for watching.